Hey everyone, welcome back. So it's time to do another power station, and this is one that I'm pretty partial to. This is the brand new Rockpals 500 watt portable power station. So let's check it out. Alright everybody, welcome back. So this is the Rockpals Rockpower 500 watt portable power station. This is a very compact power station. It's designed for easy transport. It's also very powerful for its size. It's their newer model, kind of comparable to the 300 watt unit that I reviewed a while back. My best description of this would say it's kind of built like an old school boombox or portable CD player. It's kind of rectangular in shape, bucking the trend of those little square boxes of power stations. It's about 11.8 inches wide, 7.9 inches high, and 7.1 inches deep. Very easy to carry, very big, nice handle here, and with its weight, it's not that bad to carry at all. The housing is mostly matte black, as you can tell, with the red highlights at the top and bottom handle. The handle itself is wide, comfortably molded. Now, they say this weighs 12.3 pounds. When I weighed it, it was about 10.4 pounds. So maybe that's the weight with the box and everything in it. But all in all, that's the weight of the unit itself. So it's very light, easy, and portable. It's easy to carry. The plastic on this almost feels rubberized. It doesn't feel cheap at all. It's a very well-made unit. All the screws are in there nice and tight. Everything's aligned and neat. One of the coolest things about this is it's remarkably quiet. And that's thanks in large part to the oversized vents on both sides here. Okay? So you have a lot of venting area. The larger vents on the top, bottom, and front allow more airflow. So that keeps the circuitry cool without the need to run the fans high all the time. That's really handy if your fan noise annoys you. For me personally, if I put it on in my tent, I'd probably fall asleep to it. But some people really can't stand that. So you got to also keep in mind that your performance of this unit is going to depend on conditions. If it's a hot day and you're running the power bank at maximum power, fans are going to be audible. They're going to be running much higher. So your front panel here houses all your power inputs and controls. Really easy to locate everything. There's no flipping it over going, oh, where's this, where's that? You know, everything's right on the front, easy to see and use. You can easily see the monitor over here. You can tell everything that's going on at one glance, and you'll be easy to see if there's any warnings, issues, any kind of voltage or breaker trips. The display will tell you that right away, and you can diagnose the problems as they arise. By the way, if you do have a trip on this, there'll be a little triangle here in this section of the display. All you do is just turn the unit off, turn it back on again, if you do it over power. I did try to power my ice maker with this, and I found out that the ice maker has a spike up to like 900 watts when it first starts. So while it runs around 350, this thing trips out on it. So you have to know that right ahead. And when it does, you just simply turn it off and turn it back on again. Let me turn on the display for you. The power button you will need to hold. Don't think you have a broken unit. There are two buttons on this thing you're going to need to hold to turn them on. That's the main power switch and your AC power down here for your two plugs. USB, DC, easy to turn on. You just push them once and it's done. The display here will turn off all the extra information or turn it back on again. So you see our percentage there. I purposely didn't charge this all the way up because we're going to try and charge it with the solar panels. One of the nice things about this is you do have separate buttons for everything here. If you just want to power USB and not turn on your AC circuit, you can do that. Or if you just want to power the DC stuff here and not turn on USB and AC, you can do that. Most of the time, your DC is kind of lumped in with your USB, and that draws power you don't need while you're charging only one thing. Along with the power station itself, you're going to get an AC adapter here. And I'll bring that over. I kind of open it up to charge it up. Okay? So you'll be able to charge it with AC, solar, and a car cigarette lighter adapter. Again, I tell people, if you're going to be charging this unit, don't turn off your car, plug this in and charge it. You'll kill your car's battery. This is something you want to charge while you're driving. Okay? If you're on your way to a campsite, you plug it in, charge it up. If you're moving to a new campsite, whatever, even if you run the engine for 20 minutes to top it off, you can still do it that way. So your battery capacity here is 140,400 milliamp hours or 504.44 watt hours. Your two 110 to 120 volt outlets down here are rated for 500 watts with a 750 watt peak. If you go over that peak, it will show an error. No big deal. Turn it off, turn it back on again. You got your two USB-A ports here. Those are 5 volts at 3.1 amps. You've got one USB QC30 amp. That can be running at various different voltages. So you have 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 2 amps, 12 volts at 1.5 amp. You do have one USB-C PD power port. Where'd it go? There it is. And that can either do a 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts, 3 amps, 12 volts, 3 amps, 15 volts at 3 amps, or 20 volts at 2.5 amps. It also has a 45 watt capacity for charging outward. You do have two 5.5 millimeter DC plugs down here. Okay, those are rated for 5 amp, and your one car cigarette lighter adapter port, 12 volts at 10 amps. So you do have a wide variety of stuff you can really do with this, and that's kind of handy to have. I have never used the Anderson power poles to charge a unit. This will allow you to charge it. The cool part about using that is your input here, your 5.5 millimeter input, is only rated for 72 watts max. So if you have more than a 72 watt panel, it's going to overload. This one here is rated for 120 watts max. So we're going to be using this one today because I have a solar panel that actually does that, and it's going to be fun to try it out. So, given you got a bunch of different ways to power the unit, it's got a bunch of different ways to turn it on, hold it, use it, and also a ton of different plugs for anything you could possibly need. We're going to try and power it up from solar. We're going to try and charge it up from solar. So I'm going to set it up outside, and we're going to put the solar panel out there. I believe this is the Rinkemo solar panel that I have. And we're going to charge it using the Anderson power poles and see how well it does. Now, like I said, it's at about 96, 97%. So we'll see how fast it takes it up to a couple more percentage points and see how that works. All right, so we're outside. I'm going to give you a quick look. I don't know how easy it's going to be to see the screen on here, because even though I have the unit in the shade and the solar panels in the sun, it's still awfully bright out here. But let's try it out. I tried it further down my driveway that way, directly in the sun, and I was getting 84 watts input. You probably won't get as much here because it is partially shaded, the panel. So let's plug this in and see if you can see anything. I can see it from the side here. Getting about 22 watts in. It is really shaded, unfortunately, but I was getting 80 on the other end there. Here we go, 23. Anyway, I am going to move it back down there for the actual charging time to see how fast I can get this charged up. But it does work with the Anderson power pole connector. I'm going to zoom in and see if you can actually see the screen at all. There we go. You can kind of see it. It's kind of hard to see. I see the battery in it. Yeah, there you go. I see the numbers. It's just really hard to see it out here in the sun. It's very, very bright. But, yeah, when we were further down the driveway, we were getting like 70 or 80 watts input from the sun. This isn't really directly in the sun, but I am going to move it down there. And we're going to try and see how long it takes to bump it up to, say, another percentage point or two. And we'll go from there. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like. It does work charging with the Anderson power poles. That is very, very handy. Let me back out here. So that is a neat little system, and honestly, that's the first time I have ever plugged in an Anderson power pole. Kind of embarrassed to say that, being that I'm a ham. I just haven't really used them in all these years. And I do like the way it works, so maybe I'll switch over some of my ham gear to that. Anyway, let's move it down, and I'll show you how I'm going to set it up for the actual charging test, because we're not getting anything compared to what we were getting down the driveway. All right, we're set up back in the better location for solar. Plug it back in, and you'll probably hear the fans kick on. What are we getting? 38, 49. There you go. I don't know if you can hear that over the wind noise. 72. Yeah, so we're doing pretty good. You got 72 watts coming in. Let me see if I can turn the camera a little bit. Maybe you can see the screen better. Move it up closer. Anyway, yeah, it's hard to see out here, and that's why I wanted to demo it in the shade, even though we weren't getting great sun. So let's let this sit here. It's already at 97%. Let's let this sit here and see how quickly I can get it up a couple percentage points. Then we're going to take it inside and run a bunch of stuff with it and test it out. All right, we're back inside, and believe it or not, in the short time that it took me to set up all this stuff here on the counter, I don't know if you can see that, but that's at 98%. So that's pretty darn quick. For 4 percentage points in what, maybe 10 minutes? Not bad. It is a 100-watt panel, but I do like using the Anderson power poles. You get much higher wattage coming in from that. So what we're going to do here is I got a bunch of stuff I'm going to plug in. This is my usual testing type gear. Nothing super fancy. We are going to test this with something heavier later on, after this is over. I just want to make sure everything's working and up to speed. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on the DC. Now remember I told you had to hold the power button. With the DC and USB buttons, you just have to push them. So there's the fan. We're going to plug in here. And depending on how loud it is, we'll either go high or low. Yeah, we're going to go low because that's annoying. We're pulling about 7 watts, just the fan. We're going to plug in this little metal kit radio. Got the USB on. Charge that up. There we go. That's charging. See the red charging light on it right there. A little Redibus MERS radio. And I got a tangle of wires here, but there we go. And that's charging. We're up to about 13 watts. Really no strain on this at all. Now we're going to turn on the AC. Now remember, let me get the plug out of the way so you can actually see me do it. I'm going to be plugging in this little mini fridge here. Now remember, when you're turning on the AC power port, you're going to need to push and hold it. 1, 2, 3. There. Okay? We're going to plug it into this one here. And see. There we go. See where we go from there. It's already going up. So we're at about 65, 62. You know, it's bouncing around all over. Let's get this last little guy in here, my tablet. A little tablet plugged in there. Okay, there we go. I got everything here charging and running. Now you think about a power outage, okay? And you're in a situation where the power's out and you got to charge a bunch of stuff. Well, there you go. Everything running, charging. You're cooling off with the fan. You got your medicine or drinks in there. Everything's doing pretty good. You got communications, a receiver, and your tablet or your cell phone. You're good to go. And you're only drawing about 62 watts. That's not even putting a strain on this unit yet. What we're going to do now is plug in my freezer, my chest freezer, and see how well that works and what that pulls, because that'll be a whole lot more of a challenge for this little station here. So give me a minute to set that up and I'll bring you right back. Alright, so here we are. This is my chest freezer. It's plugged into the wall behind the power station. And as you can see, no funny business. There's stuff in there. It's running. Ooh, that's nice and cold. So what we're going to do is move you a little closer to the monitor there so you can actually see what's going on. I'm going to plug it in. Let me move this forward a little and up a little so you can see the plug. Alright, here we go. Get out of there. Alright. We still have our light on, so we're going to plug this in. There we go. Now that's doing about 360 watts. And you can hear the fan on it running. Although it's not very loud, you can still hear the fan. Let me try and zoom in on the display there for you. There. So this little unit is running my entire chest freezer. That's pretty darn good. Now you notice it dropped because the compressor's off. And that was just because I unplugged it and it fired it up to make sure everything was cool enough, and then when it stops it dropped down to 3 watts. So at least we got to see that initial surge there when it comes on. And this would definitely run this for a long time because that's how this freezer operates. You know, you get a little bit of surge and then you kind of mellow out until it gets cold again enough to run it again. So you see it can definitely handle the abuse and it can definitely handle the power. Now like I said, if this had been too much, underneath here there would have been a little triangle, you know, with a little exclamation point in the middle of it. So, definitely cool. Alright, let's get it back on the table. I'll tell you the price on this because it is a good deal right now. And we'll give you some final details. Alright, we're back set up here, and I did want to let you know a couple of features of this deal. This has a battery management system with a number of safety features in it. To begin with, you get thermal protection. If for some reason the power station starts to get too hot, it's automatically going to shut down. You also get protection from short circuits, overcurrent, overvoltage, and overloads. So that doesn't just keep the power station and your battery safe, but it also ensures your devices don't get damaged either. So, another neat thing about this does support pass-through charging. Okay, you can actually use the AC plugs when you're charging this. However, there is one caveat. It doesn't support it while being charged from an outlet. So if you've got a solar panel plugged in either one of these, you can use your AC outlet. So that is kind of cool. That is definitely a plus. Something that I really was happy to see on Rockpals stuff. You know, they have been stepping up their game a little bit, and these units definitely represent that. They're definitely better made than their original ones, although their original ones are very good. I still have a couple of them. These are definitely better made and a little bit stronger, and Definitely have more features. So, that's cool. I'm going to wrap up by giving you my pros and cons, okay? First of all, this has a very large battery capacity. That's definitely a pro. It has bunches of ways to charge it. You can charge it via AC, DC, or USB, and the Anderson power pole, which means you can run your 100-watt panels and get almost full capacity out of them. I was getting 82 watts at the max when I had it out in my driveway in the correct location. You can charge up to 9 devices simultaneously, and it's got a pure wave AC inverter. Pure sine wave, I mean. That is a very handy thing if you're running sensitive electronics, computers, laptops, stuff like that. Much better for your electronics and your high-end gear, and definitely a nice feature to have inside the unit itself. My only cons. Now, this is kind of odd because I have to say this, but it's not approved for TSA travel. Its capacity is too big to take on a plane. So if you're thinking of taking this somewhere flying, it's probably going to be a hassle. You're probably going to have to ship it to your location in a shipping, with a shipper and not on the plane because of the battery capacity. I believe the current battery capacity is 25,000 milliamps, and being this is 140,400 milliamp hours, it's way over the 25,000 milliamp hours. And the only bummer about that pass-through charging is that it's only supported for DC and not AC. So if I have this plugged in my house, let's say I'm buying this just to keep the lights on during an emergency and I have nowhere to put a solar panel outside. I live in a high-rise apartment and I don't want to stick one in my window, whatever. And I keep it plugged in to keep it topped off. Well, I can't use it while it's plugged in. I can't use this, the AC outs. You can use everything else. That's no problem anywhere but the AC output. So that's my only cons, the two cons there. Really not big cons. All in all, I love the unit and I love Rockpals. I have at least 4 of their power stations and they have never given me a bit of problem. I've used them for all sorts of stuff, including, by the way, I might add, HF radio. I had my, with a little 5.5 plug plugged into my 200-watt one, I had my Yaesu F818 in there and it performed flawlessly. No noise, no static, no background chaos. You know how it gets nasty. There's lots of hash when you plug in an HF radio into one of these. It was really, really good, and I was really impressed with it. So, definitely a cool deal. Now, the price. These are $339.99, so $340. Now, you remember I've talked about most of these are $1 a watt. If you get a 500-watt unit, you're paying $500 for it. Maybe if you're lucky, you're paying $450. They're trying to give you a little break. This is for $340. It is on Amazon. I do have the link down below if you want to check it out. It's definitely a worthy upgrade of their 300-watt unit. As a matter of fact, I'm letting my friend use my 300-watt unit now because he wanted something to back up in case the power went out during this heat that we're having. So definitely a cool deal. It's definitely a good price on it. So that is the Rockpals Rockpower 500-watt portable power station. We've put it through its paces today a little bit. I will be using it some more. Definitely going to be using it in videos. This is going to be my new go-to unit instead of that little 300-watt one because my friend's going to borrow it for a while till we cool off. So we're going to be using this in videos when we need power remotely. And got to say, it's a darn good deal. Anyway, folks, check it out. Link will be down below. It's in our Amazon store as well if you're interested in our Amazon affiliate store. The link for that will be right underneath the link for this. This is directly in my store. We also have our freeze-dried wholesalers link down below. You guys remember yesterday I did a video of all their new vegetable options, so check it out if you want the video before this one. They have a ton of stuff, always new stuff coming online, always new and inventive stuff coming online. So for freeze-dried food, that's a really good deal. You can click my link there and save 15% on your entire order. The whole thing. You don't even need to do anything special, no codes, no nothing. Click the link and the prices will be automatically 15% off. Don't forget to check out our My Patriot Supply link down below. That's preparewithiridium.com. Preparewithiridium.com. 25-year shelf life, freeze-dried food. Set and forget. Just make sure you store water for it, and you're good to go. And lastly, our Thrive Life freeze-dried food store down below. Remember, with Thrive, there's nothing to join if you don't want to. If you don't want to be a reseller or anything like that, you can just go there and order. You can get delivery without having anything to do with being a consultant. It's really, really simple. So check it out down below there as well. Anyway, folks, I thank you for watching. Stay safe, try to stay cool during this heat wave, and stay prepared.